Hello everyone, welcome back to our exciting series of videos on how you can be a really confident, credible presenter online in virtual presentations, virtual communications. If you watched my video yesterday or whenever you watched it, I gave lots of tips on, or three main tips really, on how you can get the audience on your side even before you begin, even before you've done your presentation. So let's assume you've done that. And let's just for today assume that you've got a brilliant presentation ready to go. So today let's just focus on how you can look and sound as good as possible when you are presenting virtually, how you can come across as well as you possibly can. The main idea I want to get across to you is that every minute, probably the single most important thing I've learned as a professional presenter, as a keynote speaker, is that preparation really is the answer to almost all problems. And every minute I spend on preparation makes my presentation 10% better. So give yourself a bit more time than you might expect. Certainly the first few times, if you're not used to running virtual presentations or virtual meetings, give yourself more time than you might expect at first. And so I recommend, let's imagine you're an hour away from your presentation beginning, right? Give yourself an hour, certainly the first time. Partly because this will help you set everything up well, but also because psychologically it helps you to feel more confident and ready to go. It's very destabilizing presenting and suddenly realizing there's something behind you that's distracting, or that you forgot to close a door and there's the sound of wind coming through, or in that famous BBC interview, suddenly two children run in the background. So give yourself about an hour before to set yourself up the first time. Now, obviously, you want to look really nice, so I'm not an expert on clothing or anything like that, but try and keep your clothing, if you can, to simple block colours. Certainly avoid anything that's got wild patterns or checks, particularly. Certainly if you're doing a video call, anything that's got a checked design will tend to make the camera go a little bit wobbly. So try and avoid that. Try and avoid anything too outrageously colourful because it can distract people and it can accidentally conflict or clash with something in the background. So today I'm wearing a block colour navy blue shirt against a white background. This background is a little bit shinier than I would like. You can probably see some light reflecting in it. But this is my whiteboard in my office that I normally write my plans for global domination on, and obviously I didn't want any of you to see those plans, so I've erased them today. So it's a nice shiny white background. So dress fairly simply, nice colours, but not distracting colours. Think about that as you're getting ready. Obviously, many of you will want to go off and find a mirror and brush your hair and look nice, that sort of thing. So that's all up to you. You know how to do that. One thing I would say, and I'm very sorry to be gendered about this, but this is particularly for the men watching this, is say it quietly, but men, there's nothing wrong with a bit of makeup occasionally, all right? Particularly if you're doing a really important presentation, so if you're presenting to a big client or you're presenting to the board, and it's really important that you come across as well as you possibly can, right? There's nothing wrong with putting a little bit of powder foundation on. I'm wearing some today because when I present, I get very excited. I like presenting, but I go a bit red in the face and it doesn't look great on camera. So I just use a tiny little bit of foundation powder that was recommended to me by a BBC makeup artist, actually. Just put a tiny bit on, and it just means I look a bit nicer on video than I otherwise would. And obviously I wash it off straight away after I've made the videos. So sorry to be gendered about that, but that's specifically for more of the men watching this than for the women, I think. So let's say you're looking nice, you've got yourself looking nice, so you're going into your space where you're going to do your presentation. When you're thinking about how you set yourself up, just make sure that you've got some light falling on your face. So that might mean you take a desk lamp and you put it behind your laptop or behind your phone so that it's shining on your face. Maybe you're in front of a window so that you've got light falling on your face. Be a little bit wary of natural daylight, because natural daylight obviously moves, the sun obviously moves in the day. And if you're online for quite a long time, shadows can move across your face in slightly strange ways. And if, let's imagine if it's a very serious presentation and you might take it and edit bits of it, you don't want shadows jumping jerkily across your face as you're talking. So try not to rely just on natural daylight if you can. Try and get an extra source of lighting. If you're really into it, if it's very important to you, you can go to Amazon and you can look up. There are lots of lights you can buy very, very cheaply that just go on a little tripod and go behind your phone or behind your laptop and shine into your face. But a desk lamp or a table lamp will do the job pretty well, especially if you've got a fairly new camera or laptop. So just make sure you've got some light shining on you so you look good into the camera. But more important than how you look, I think, is how you sound. And I'm sort of using something that most of you won't want to use, but I'm going to mention it just in case. Obviously, I'm a professional presenter, so I want to be set up as well as I can. I don't know if you can see it. I'll come up to the camera. There we are. You're seeing bits of me you didn't expect to see today. But this is I hope you saw that. This is a Rode microphone, R-O-D-E, a Rode Lav Plus it's called, and it plugs into any smartphone or headphone socket of a computer, and it gives broadcast quality sound. You might not necessarily get a clip-on microphone like I am, although they're quite inexpensive. So if you're presenting a lot, it might be worth you investing in it. If you haven't got that, then something like, if you use a Mac, the AirPods or plug-in headphones where the microphone is quite close to your mouth works really well. Basically, again, thinking about your audience first, you want your audience to feel like you're quite close to them, that you're in the room with them. Sounding sort of tinny and distant it's very difficult to be an engaging presenter if you sound distant, if you sound a bit tinny, or if you're just relying on a microphone on a phone that's 4 feet away from you. It's harder to be a credible, authoritative presenter if you're doing that. If you're sounding like that. I do think, I'm going to say, some people will disagree with me, but I strongly believe that your audio is much more important than your visuals. I know some people will disagree with that, but I don't care. I'm a rebel. Not very rebellious, but a bit rebellious. But audio really is important, partly because audio is such a big part of your credibility and your authority, but also because, as we all know, online, if anything is going to go wrong first, it's going to be the video. That's what's going to cut out first. So if you've got good sounding audio, you can still deliver a pretty good virtual presentation even without the video, even if bandwidth means you'll have to go audio. So try and get your audio set up. If you haven't got either an external microphone or plug in, headphones with a microphone on them, worst case, then make sure your phone or your laptop is as close to you as possible, so that you've got your voice is really going into the microphone, and you're not having to shout at the phone or the microphone, but also so that the tone of your voice is still quite pleasant and it feels to people listening like you're there with them, you're in the room with them, guiding them. And if you can do it, invest in an external microphone, because it does make a difference, I think. In terms of the visuals as well, of course, think about the framing. I'm all on my own because obviously we're all doing the right thing and not allowing strangers into our houses and not going to not going out to studios and so on. So I've tried to set the framing up of this shot as well as I can. Basically, you want yourself, certainly your face, to not to be, you don't want to be right up against the lens like this, but you want to be the focus of attention into the camera. So think about the framing. Don't have too much space either side of you. Certainly try not to have too much space above you. I can't really fake it here, I don't think, but if I lean back like that, or if I slump down in my seat, there's probably a lot more space above my head now, and it will sort of diminish my credibility, diminish how authoritative I appear to the camera. On that note, sorry, I'm throwing myself around in this video, aren't I? It's not very elegant, but I hope it makes the point. On that note, sitting down, most of us will be sitting down for virtual presentations anyway, and it's a pretty good thing to do because it forces you to stay in one place. The only time I stand to do a virtual presentation is if I'm giving a keynote to a genuine audience of a large number of people who are tuning in. Standing up does give you a little bit of a different kind of energy. So if you're doing a big sort of town hall number or a big keynote style virtual presentation, you might choose to stand, but then you'll want your microphone a little bit further, your phone or your camera a little bit further away from you, and you'll definitely need a clip-on microphone to do that. But most of us will be sitting. Sitting keeps you in one place, so it means you're not too worried about going off camera. But what I recommend you do is when you're sitting is sit near to the front of your chair. Set yourself up so that when you sit near the front of your chair, you're still looking good in the camera. And sitting at the front of the chair, what it does is it forces you to sit upright. And sitting upright means that you'll have a bit more vocal presence and a bit more physical presence. If I lean back in my chair, you can probably hear straight away what happens. I genuinely haven't reduced the volume of what I'm saying, but there's a bit less energy both physically in me and vocally in me. I start to slump. And if I'm like this for 20 minutes, some of the energy will drain out of this video. If I bring myself again away from the back of the chair into the front of the chair, you can hopefully hear there's a bit more presence, a bit more energy in my voice, and I feel more present and more alive. I'm more ready to present. So sit near to the front of your chair. Don't rely on the back of the chair. Don't lean on it if you can avoid that. One other thing I was going to say, which has completely escaped me, completely gone away. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me in a future video. The other thing I know what I was going to say is it's very, very easy when you're speaking into a laptop or speaking into a phone to accidentally look at yourself rather than the lens. So at the moment I'm looking at the lens, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at myself in my phone. I'm recording this on my iPhone. Now, to me, this is quite natural. I'm looking at myself. I can see my eyes looking back at me. This feels natural. Now what I'm doing is I'm looking in the lens, and this feels a little bit unnatural to me because I can see myself just slightly off there, but I'm perfectly willing to bet for you as the viewer, this feels much more natural and much more engaging. This feels now like I'm looking at you, I'm engaged with you. If you find that quite difficult to do, there's a very old tip from broadcasting, which a lot of people do, which is to draw a little smiley face on a post-it note or anything sticky and just stick it under the lens so you're talking to that smiley face. It's quite a cute thing to do anyway, but it makes sure that your focus is in the right direction, that people feel like you're engaged with them, and you are engaged with them. The smiley face is quite nice, and psychologically what I often do when I'm doing these videos is I imagine I'm talking to my nicest, friendliest client. I can't tell you who that is because I'd lose all my other clients. You're all my nicest, friendliest clients. But I'm talking to someone who's enjoying what I'm saying, who's smiling back at me, who's nodding all the time. And that gives me a nice kind of energy, a nice kind of atmosphere for this kind of video. All right, my friends, so I hope that's been useful for you. I'll try, if I get time, I'll try and drop some links into the comments below this video if you're interested in getting an external light or an external microphone. I think it's a really good thing to do, a really good thing to set up. Hope that's useful for you. Do send me, by the way, I've had a few questions privately already. Do put any questions or comments into the links below because I'm building these videos out of what you need to know rather than what I want to say. And it makes it much more interesting and much easier for me, actually, to respond to your questions rather than just thinking for myself the kind of stuff you might want to know. I wish you all the very best of luck with that, and I hope you all stay safe and well. Have a very good day.